Chinese people are very lucky because we have
2 New Years
and 2 different dates of birth. You may wonder why. The fact is that we use 2 different calendars, the solar calendar and the lunisolar calendar. The solar calendar is also called the Gregorian calendar, which is also widely used in the world. The lunisolar calendar is a traditional Chinese calendar that first took form back in the Han Dynasty. January the 1st on the solar calendar is the International New Year's Day, but the Chinese New Year is on the first day of the first month on the lunisolar calendar. Now let's briefly put aside the life of modern society, and here surfaces the visage of ancient China. Every morning, we could see the sun rising from the east, and the time interval between 2 sunrises is called one day. In Chinese, 一日. The Chinese character 日 means the sun. On a clear night, the moon is not difficult to be seen. The shape of moon changes in such a regular monthly order that each period of its waxing and waning is calculated to 1 month. In Chinese, 一月. And 月 means the moon. In agriculture, the harvest of crops also turns out to be seasonal. The time interval being about 1 year, thus in Chinese is called 一年. And the character 年 in the oracle bone inscriptions vividly depicts a harvest. Now that we have the units of day, month, and year, we are still short of time units when it comes to make arrangements with others, which requires a more accurate measure of time. Therefore, we begin to observe the change of the sky and the course of our daily life, trying to find out some regular patterns. Finally, we get to divide a day into 12 smaller time units. They are 夜半, 鸡鸣, 平淡, 日出, 时时, 余中, 日中, 日别, 补时, 日入, 黄昏, 人定. Based on this timetable, the breakfast time for people living in Zhou Dynasty should be 7 to 9 a.m. and the lunch from 3 to 5 p.m. And as the Chinese poem goes, the moon rose above the willow tree. At dusk, he had a tryst with me. So 7 to 9 p.m. used to be people's dating time. Our ancestors also discovered that a month consists of 30 days and a year of 12 months. To their surprise, after the careful observation, recording, and calculation, they found that the difference between 1 year based on the lunar cycle and the solar cycle is roughly 11 days. That's why an adapted calendar called lunisolar calendar was devised to level the difference, which allows an extra month every 2 or 3 years in order to make up for the omitted 11 days. Meanwhile, they used the lunar cycle to mark the month and the solar cycle to mark the year. In many countries, including China, the Gregorian calendar, the pure solar calendar, is in use. It follows precisely the track of a tropical year, leaving out the lunar movements. Muslims are keen on different phases of the moon, so it is the lunar calendar that they are using, only with some slight discrepancy in terms of the description of seasons. For instance, sometimes it is summer in January, and sometimes it is winter. However, Chinese lunisolar calendar could not only make a good match with the phase of the moon, but reflect the course of seasons as well. Pragmatically, it could be used to provide guidance on both maritime activities related to the tidal movement and farm work dependent on climates. Another system in traditional Chinese calendars is the Chinese sexagenary cycle, also known as stems and branches. There are 10 stems called 甲乙丙丁戊己庚辛壬癸, and 12 branches, namely 子丑寅卯辰巳午未申酉戌亥. The 10 stems, each is paired with an earthly branch, forming 60 terms in total, are used for counting hours, days, months, and years. Today, the stems and branches is primarily employed to record years. Starting with 甲子, it forms a 60-year cycle. For example, in this photo, both the grandpa and the granddaughter were born in 乙未 year, but the grandpa is 60 years older than the girl. By the way, in the law of time, 60 is a somewhat miraculous number, since in the Western time system, 60 seconds equal a minute, and 60 minutes equal an hour. The history of using the 12 earthly branches to calculate hours span from the Han Dynasty to the period of the Republic of China. Just to remind you, the hour is also named 时辰 in Chinese, which equals 2 hours in modern timekeeping. The time range from 11 o'clock at night to 1 o'clock before dawn is called 夜半 or 子 hour. And then 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock is called the Chou hour, and so on and so forth. In Song Dynasty, each 时辰 was further divided into 2 sections, 初 and 正. 子 hour, for instance, is comprised of 子初, 11 p.m. to the midnight, and 子正, midnight to 1 o'clock. Therefore, the 24 o'clock timekeeping system is truly an antique in Chinese history. The heavenly stems and earthly branches, which are derived from people's observation of celestial phenomena and natural environment, are born to have features of divination. Through thousands of years, the stems and branches, together with the philosophy of yin-yang and the 5 elements, have developed into sophisticated Chinese divination and numerology. Some Chinese ethnic groups have, except for the conventional solar and the lunisolar calendar, also their own calendars. Among them, the most famous are the Tibetan calendar of the Zhang population, the calendar of the Dai people, the calendar of the Shui people, and the calendar of the Yi people. Both of the 2 calendars have been used in people's daily life. Chinese people have been open-minded to the new and sure-footed in the classic. The process of modernization and industrialization also helped the solar calendar to prevail in the globe. But we keep it as a tradition to resort to the lunisolar calendar when it comes to traditional festivals, agricultural production, and divination practices. This is the end of this lecture. See you in the next session.